G'day guys and welcome back today to another video on the Freo Faithful channel. We are previewing the upcoming game against Adelaide Crows on Friday night. So I had to get one of the icons of the game in, Andy Munro, known for his Guernsey collection and outback footy field finds. Andy, thanks for joining us, mate.
G'day, Drews. Thanks for having me on. Big game this week.
Bloody oath it is. Bloody oath. Your Crows have been... Well, you have been going good. You had a little bit of a skid there, 2 tough games, but you're back in the winners column with a win against the Giants. How has your season been as a whole so far?
Yeah, well, it was a real hot start. Very optimistic after the first 3, and then, yeah, a couple missed opportunities. But good to get the win against the Giants. A bit of a gritty win, which we don't really expect from this Crows side. So it was a bit of a different character building sort of game, I reckon. Which I really love to see. So it's going to be interesting going over to Freo. Crows don't tend to play too well at Optus. I don't know the stats on that, but I should know. But yeah, I'm not too confident over there, but we'll see how we go. It will be a big test.
Yeah, I'm not sure about your record at Optus, actually. I feel like we've had your sort of number there, but, you know, without... we've had Melbourne's number as well, and they just taught us a lesson, so that means nothing. You were talking about the gritty performance there that won you the game against the Giants. That's sort of different to what we've expected this year with the Crows because you've been such an offensive machine. Talk to me about that, the way that you guys move the ball and the threatening forwards you have up top.
Yeah, well, the ball movement, especially early on through kicking and the short kicks, was excellent and just really cut through teams. The Saints didn't really have much hope, and it was just a really good start to the year. And then we had a bit of a slower past couple games, but the forward line is just crazy. You got Thilthorpe, who just marks everything in the air, and then you got Fogg and Tex, they'll kick everything. Hopefully Fogg's playing. That's one thing that might not be happening, but... yeah, it's working so well. Oh, Fogg, he had his shoulder dislocated, I think it was, and yeah, it sort of looked real bad early, but he might play this week. I'm sort of thinking he won't, so that might be in Freo's advantage, not having one of the big 3 forwards there. And there is question marks on Rochelle if he's going to come back from his ribs. So, yeah, he's been out for a couple of weeks since Cherry ran through him a few weeks ago, big X-Man. But, yeah, there's still a few good options there, and I still think the Crows should go all right, even if Fogg's out.
Truly. So you talk about the ball movement there and the short kicks, which really gets your offense going. Who are the players that do that? The Crows, I feel like, I don't know if it's just a blank spot in my mind. I try to watch a lot of footy, and I do watch the Crows, but I can never really identify who their best ball users are off sort of the half-back area. Like, obviously, you guys are lethal in the middle of the ground. Great midfield with Dawson, Saligo, Rankin that rolls through there, and probably others that I'm missing. But, yeah, who are your sort of best ball movers? I'm sure Jordan Dawson would be probably first on the ranks there, but you'd know more.
Yeah, Dawson's right up there, of course. He's had a few little shaky weekends past 2 weeks by foot, but he'll still be good. Yeah, but we're hoping he's going to turn around. He's still good nevertheless, but off half-back has sort of been a little bit of a weakness. We've had Millero play consistently, and he doesn't get a whole lot of it. He loves to hold on to the footy, and he takes an extra man on sometimes, which is always interesting. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but he's always an interesting watch. You've got Worrell, who's a bit underrated by foot, I reckon. Mm-hmm. He's not too bad. And then Laird's back in defence now, and I wouldn't say he's the greatest ball user, but his positioning is top-notch, so... it's more so the mids that are very slick by foot. You got Saligo and Rankin, of course, and then duo with Dawson. So then you got the workman-like mids that like Crouch and Peatling if he's coming back, which I think he probably will. He spent last week suspended, and probably Berry drops out. He was sub anyway, so yeah.
Yeah, you've had some handy acquisitions over the off-season. James Peatling was a massive part of that GWS midfield last year, so he's going to be a great player for you guys for seasons to come. Alex Neil-Bullen, a heart and soul player, straight into the leadership group. He is just one of those players that you love to have on your team. Like, just gives 110% all game, and he's got the polish in front of goal. A lot of the time as well. You've also brought in Cumming and young Sid Draper. What have these additions brought to this side? Because last year, Adelaide were expected to rise, didn't quite hit the heights that they were expected to, but with those additions, you guys have really gone to the next level.
Yeah, the depth has gotten so much better. It's just really taken everyone up a step, I reckon. Having Neil Bullen in is probably one of the most underrated gets. He just makes everyone better, and when the forward line's already good, it makes them even better, which is a pretty scary prospect for opposition sides, I would have thought. But yeah, even like his work is crazy. Like, I'm watching him in half forward, and all of a sudden, 2 minutes later, he's in half back, and he's just making smothers and making plays. I love how he's gone. Draper, he's been good as a sub. Past couple games he's actually played, he's sort of been a bit forward and hasn't impacted as much. So it wouldn't surprise me if he goes back to being a sub where he can come on and use his pace late on in a game. He's only a young kid, so you don't expect too much from him. And then Cumming, he's just doing his role out in the wing there. He works hard back up and forth.
Cumming is a bit like, he's a big body. Like, I feel like I remember him at GWS, him playing a bit deeper. I thought he was a sort of like third tall defender maybe, but he's a big boy.
That's what I was thinking when he was going to join as well, but we got like Hinge and Worrell and Max Michaelini sort of back in defence, so he's more on the outside on the wing, and he still impact using his size out in the wing. So, no, he's been all right. And then Peatling, he's been handy. I thought he would do a little bit more than what he has, but he's people sort of thought he'd take over like Crouch and some of these guys, but he's actually behind them. He's like the fourth in line mid, so he starts in forward a fair bit as well. So Peatling, he's doing a lot of hard work. He's not really being the star that maybe some people thought he would be this year, but he's still doing his role and doing well.
Oh, when you got so many stars across the park, man. I mean, Isaac Rankin is that same sort of mould as Shea Bolton and Cozzy Pickett, who are making headlines at the moment.
Sure.
Rankin's like right up in that echelon. Such a great player to watch. There's so many stars in that team now. Like Riley Thilthorpe's been one of the most talked about players in the football landscape recently. Just come back from the injuries that he sustained over the years. Grown a beard and become a man.
He's huge.
Must have been drinking a litre of, must have been drinking, just, I don't know, smashing some milk and Pro-Dough. I don't even know. He's come back a monster, and he's a crazy player to have in your team right now. Obviously Tex has been lighting it up as Well, Freo's forwards it's been a weird one. Josh Tracy's right up there in the column, but he had a quiet weekend. We got Jai Amos, Pat Voss will miss this game as well. Is there any of our players that you think can threaten your defence? Because a couple of weeks ago we saw Paddy Dangerfield put on an absolute masterclass against you at full forward. So how can we get you, our forwards, and the personnel that we have?
Well, the big difference when Dangerfield was dominating is that we didn't have one of the best defenders, in my opinion, is Nick Murray. I reckon by the end of the year, we'll be talking about Nick Murray as being one of the top key defenders, but he just has to play consistently. Tracy probably be right up there as a main target. I love what Dudley does, by the way. I thought he was pretty cool when he came on. Short guy, but he works 100%. Hard. But
SA boy.
Yeah, exactly. I loved seeing those guys roll around. There'll be a few options. Definitely the Crows' weakness is defence, but it's getting there. It's improving every week, I reckon, and it's getting a little bit more recognition.
So our best informed players at the moment have been, well, before we even go into that, the sort of method to beat Freo has been stop Sarong, stop Freo. He's been tagged in all of our losses, and when he gets tagged to that extent, he just can't influence the game with his sort of stoppage dominance. Viney went to him on the weekend and he had 27 touches, but it didn't feel like it really sort of propelled us forward in that game. So is there anyone that you think can go and do a job on Caleb Sarong?
There could be Peatling if he's back in, but the Crows don't tend to run with too many defensive mids. Crouch could line up next to him just because they're sort of like for like. Not saying Crouch is as good as Sarong, because he's not, but similar sort of inside balls. But yeah, the Crows won't probably run with the tagger too much. I wouldn't be surprised if Sarong got a fair bit of it, which is a bit of a concern. And then you get Brayshaw on the outside as well, inside-outside mid. So I am worried about those two guys this week.
Yeah, they're Jets. Andy Brayshaw has just been probably in career best form, to be honest, back
in MVP
footy,
form.
100%. People forget about that. And he was only,
I don't forget that. He was
years
the
old.
top player in the league, literally.
Yeah, that's nuts. I'm a bit of a noob, but AFL MVP, is that coaches voted or players voted?
That's the players voted. So then you get the coaches award as well. So in my opinion, that's the best award in football, but a lot of people still think the Brownlow. A lot of people still say the coaches is the best, but Yeah, I love the MVP. I think it's more indicative of the top player in the league every year, personally.
The fact that Brayshaw did that at such a young age, he's been really solid for us over the past few seasons, but it just feels like he's gone up another level with his running ability. Is that just a one-on-one all day with Jake Saligo? Because I would love to see that.
Yeah, it probably is.
so
Dawson
hot.
probably won't run around with too many guys. He sort of roams around and he goes all over the place. But yeah, Saligo and Brayshaw would probably be the mashup, probably.
Cool. And then, we got Hayden Young, obviously, who's a bit of a headache. But Shea Bolton has been the man of the moment for us, just kicking Shea Bolton-esque goals. You can't tackle him. He's, again, one of those sort of cosy ranking players. Do you have any crafty defenders that can go with him with the form that he's in?
Well, Max Michaelani, he's coming off a game against Toby Green where he's kept him goalless, and Max even kicked his first goal. So that was a pretty good feat for him. He's definitely underrated there, Max. So he might get the gig. I don't know if he goes in the midfield with him. Don't reckon. But yeah, Max is definitely a player that doesn't get as much recognition because he's more of a lockdown guy. He doesn't use the footy heaps, but he's very reliable when he does have the footy. But I love what Max does.
I'm going to have to keep an eye on these Crows defenders. I haven't given them the respect that they deserve or the time that I need to learn about them, but we're going to see because when our forward line gets clicking with Tracy leading at the ball, Frederick had a bit of a quiet week against Melbourne, but before that he'd kicked, I think, 3 goals in 3 consecutive weeks or something like that. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting matchup. Who do you see getting the chocolates? 8:10, Friday night, the Len Hall Tribute game. It's a massive game for our club on ANZAC Day. How do you see this game going? And what do you think about the scoring and where the game's going to be won and lost?
I love the game time, by the way, giving us a good spotlight. Usually just the Victorian ones get the Friday night game, so I'm liking that for a start. But I reckon the Crows can get a win here. A little bit of a big test for them, but I just think the forward line will be hard to stop, even if Fogg's out. Freo do have a few nice defenders there, of course, but it will be an interesting test. Going over to WA is always a bit of a concern as well, but the midfield should be a good battle, but I just reckon the forward line, get him over the line. Phil Thorpe will be hard to stop. He's sort of been down the past couple of weeks, but anything in the air, it will be hard for him to stop. There's one guy that always plays well for Freo, which is Brendan Cox. For some reason, he always plays really well against the Crows. I'm worried about him.
Another SA boy?
Yeah, maybe I'm just watching the SA boys. I don't know, but I'm always worried about him going against the Crows. I remember one time he played forward and he kicked a few goals and pretty much won the game for Freo a few years ago now, but I just don't. I think the forward line for the Crows might get him over the line and probably win by about 3 goals, 18 points.
Okay. With the intent we showed up with on Saturday, that is very, I can see that. But I'm going to back the boys in to bounce back, obviously. You were speaking about your forwards there. I think something we did really good against Sam Darcy pre-injury, RIP Sam Darcy. Hopefully he's all good. But we sort of team defended him. It wasn't like there was a direct matchup. It was sort of like we stopped his run at it. It was a combined effort, and you need to do that against forward lines as potent as the Crows. So I'm not sure what the direct matchups are going to be, but if you don't have anyone to go to Sarong, and he's the top-rated player on the ground, we've seen this new stat, the Hoyne stat, when this guy is in the top 5 rated players on the ground, and Sarong is one of them. So if you can't stop Sarong, you're going to have a long day. I think, our midfield, if it gets the hands on the ball first, it's going to be not a long day. I think you're a great side, and I think it's going to be a really tough day for us to get the chockies as well. My heart is saying tip Freo. My head, to be honest, is probably leaning towards the Crows pessimistically, but I'll back the Dockers to get the job done. I'll say we get it done by 11 points. It'll be a bit of a close one, but Friday night footy. Everyone's relaxed after that big ANZAC Day clash between Collingwood and Essendon, and then the real main event comes on. The Dockers versus the Crows Friday night. Yeah, I think that's really it. I did want to ask you as well about Dan Curtin. He's a WA boy. Yeah, really good kid, really professional athlete. So yeah, just wanted to finish on, what do you make of him and where do you see his best footy being played? And how can he get at us on Friday night as well?
Yeah, he's an interesting one. I thought he'd be going into the midfield now, like started as a defender, sort of going into midfield this year, but he's been forward. He actually plays a lot. He's a tall guy, but he does play a lot shorter than what he is, but he can take a mark as well. So I see him very similar to a Jordan Dawson, actually. So he's like a mini Dawson in the forward line. The left footer, he's not as slick of a kick, but he's actually a little bit taller, so he's got that on his favour. He's just progressing nicely. I wouldn't say he's being one of the top players in his age or whatever like that, but he's playing his role really well, and he's going all right. Like, it's handy when we have someone like that not having to stand out. Like in previous years, we wanted like Thilthorpe to carry and stuff like that, where Curtin, he can just do his role and progress nicely. So I'm enjoying his work. He's not dominating, but he's doing all right.
Yeah, no, that's what you want. No pressure. Just let the kid play footy.
Exactly.
And yeah, hopefully he has a long and fruitful career at the Crows. Andy, we have done that absolutely rapid, but there's a lot of good stuff in there. Thank you for joining me tonight on the Oppo View. Where can people find your stuff and what can they expect from you?
Thank you, Drews. Appreciate it. Should be a good game. Freo have a lot to play for, so should be interesting. Munro Jumpers on Instagram, Andy Munro on TikTok, also on YouTube as well. So Andy Munro on YouTube, you can check me out there. I have a lot of footy jumper content. You might see the jumpers behind me or old footy grounds if you're interested in that type of thing. So there's a lot of different niche content that I sort of produce, not necessarily just the Crow stuff. So yeah, appreciate it if you could check us out.
He's a one-of-a-kind creator. Thanks for your time tonight, Andy, and go to the Dockers on Friday. But good luck.